Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so asleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Benito, cheap Keith.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been hiding a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working, I'm up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, last Friday, we were saying 100K and below potentially imminent. And there we are over the weekend, finally getting our weekly red dot to print and confirm. And we got the drop below we got the drop below $100,000 right into our $100,000 support zone. And we are now getting a pretty aggressive bounce to the upside, already getting a bounce of about 6% from the low. Today I have a lot to talk about, guys. I want to talk about the possibility of the bottom potentially being in here. Now, this is not just FOMO long Bitcoin right now. The bottom's in because right now, guys, there is an argument to be had for the low being in and potentially seeing another drop to the downside. So I want to cover everything with you guys, show you the key levels, show you kind of the context that I'm viewing the market through, and some of the things pointing towards a potential bigger pullback. And then we'll talk about the potential bottom being in, and I'll let you guys know. We'll give you the bearish case, the bullish case, and I'll let you know which way I'm leaning and which or how I am handling my personal trading plans as we get this bounce from 98 to 71. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, Mafia. We got the drop below 100K. Is the bottom in? Are we going lower? Are we going to 97K, 92, $90,000? Or can we finally see some all-time highs to come? We're going to cover everything for you guys, and I'm going to try to break it down. Although we are in a bit of a complex situation here, I'm going to try to break things down nice and simple. I'm going to try not to bring up like every single local level. I'm going to bring up the big key levels you have to look at and the major signals that could be calling for a potential continuation up, at least for the medium term here. So, with all that being said, guys, shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everybody for being in here. Shout out to Kilgannon said, Frankie, give us your opinion on the current geopolitical climate. Shout out to Kilgannon. This is part of what is making this price action, I don't want to say making it hard to read. It's not that it's hard to read based off the geopolitical situation, but it is partially adding a little bit of mud to the water because all it takes, guys, is either some bullish news based off, all the crazy stuff going on. It only takes like one good tweet, one bad tweet, one good news story, one bad news story to have this thing absolutely rip in one way or the other. But as always, I'm going to show you what the charts are showing us, and I'll give you guys which way I'm leaning. But I will say there is definitely an argument to be made here whether the top is in or whether the bottom is in or not. But it's nice to see that drop below 100K, guys. I started to feel crazy last week saying, doorway to 100K and potentially below is still open. Guys, we're rejecting the 786s. If we closed it, like looking for that move down below our current low to put in a new lower low. I started to feel a little bit crazy looking for that, and it is like super validating to see that happen. And it was all just on the charts. It was not just my opinion that we were going down there, but there were things on the charts pointing us towards those levels. We have the 16-hour and 12-hour money flow crossing over into the red, indicating a continuation of the downside. We'll cover all of it in tonight's live stream, but let's go. Starting off the stream correct with Golden and dropping those 50 Frankie Candles memberships. Let's go. Shout out to Golden, bro. He didn't even wait for the stream to really start. He's doing it during the intro. Shout out to Golden, guys. Start that golden waterfall. Drop those golden emojis in the chat. Said, we need more. Shout out to Golden. Drop those golden emojis in the chat if you appreciate Golden dropping those memberships. Look at the memberships flying in here. We had some great names in the chat. And now it looks like mostly everybody in here right now is looking green. And another 50 Frankie Candles membership. Unbelievable. Golden. Bro. Golden, you're insane, bro. You're insane. 100 Frankie Candles memberships. Before we even pull up the chart, everybody show Golden some love in the chat. These are not cheap, these memberships, guys. So drop him some love in the chat. You guys all, a lot of you guys get a free month of the Frankie Candles membership. So you just got access to that golden emoji. Start that golden waterfall for our boy. And Golden, you're the absolute GOAT, bro. We appreciate you more than you could ever know. You are insane, bro. Shout out to Golden, guys. Golden's going down in history, baby. But with all that being said, guys, we got a lot to look at in the charts here today. We got Blockchain Domain in the chat. We got Pixel Wave. Shout out to you for getting that membership. Anthony with the membership. Literally, memberships for everybody, apparently. Shout out to Golden. We got Gary in the chat. We got Richard in the chat. We got MC0 in the chat. Peter and Kath, what is going on? If you guys have not... yo, you need to slow down, Frankie. You're causing me anxiety. Shout out to Peter. Yeah, that is... Frankie Candles talking fast? No way. Impossible. No, shout out to you, bro. I'll try to keep it nice and slow for it. I'll try to slow it down to not a slow pace, but like a normal pace for most people. But guys, we're all aerodynamic now. We got the fresh fade here, and I'm just speeding. I'm speeding. We got the move we were looking for. We're getting to bounce. So we're excited today. But I'll try to slow it down just a little bit, more to a human pace. But shout out to you, man. We got Sergio in the chat. We got Brothers Mechanics. What is going on? I want that membership. Also, if you guys want a membership, you just got to make sure, I believe by default, your membership gifting opportunity is disabled in YouTube. You have to turn that setting on to be able to get gifted a membership. And you never know. Maybe we'll get some more in here from Golden or maybe even somebody else. Shout out to Golden, please. Golden, you do not have to do this, bro, but we appreciate you endlessly for doing this and keeping the Mafia names green in here. But with all that being said, guys, Eugene Sky's in the chat. What is going on? And another 50 Frankie Candles membership. Unbelievable. Golden. Like no TA today, only memberships. Shout out to Golden, bro. That is 150 memberships before we even pull up the charts. You're an absolute legend, bro. I don't know what to say to you, Golden. You are the most generous person, not even that I know, but probably close to the most generous person maybe on earth. So shout out to you, bro. Thank you so much. And if you didn't have a membership before, you probably do now. But with all that being said, while you guys are getting those memberships in the chat, let's go ahead and pull up the charts here and try to figure out Bitcoin's next move. We got Crypto Anon in the chat, and that means we're going to pull up the charts right now. Let's get into it. And also, guys, real quick, we do have a new Aztecian Cactus Moss Water here. Orca Water. I don't know who makes this. I believe we bought these. Tony D dropped these off to the studio today. I think we paid for these. I'm going to give an honest review. I have not tasted it yet, but this is going to be the new Aztecian Cactus Moss Water for now. So I'm going to go ahead and it's like in this clear plastic can here. Let me go ahead and crack this so we can get fueled up like I need any extra fuel here. But let's take a sip here real quick. Wow. That is good. It just tastes like flavored water. But it does have caffeine in it. It has I don't know, some amount of caffeine, which I probably shouldn't be drinking right now because I already had 2 times the legal dose. Come lock me up. I'm all caffeinated here, but this is actually pretty good. I actually like this. Little more hydrating than coffee, too. Shout out to Orca. Again, not paid, not sponsored, but this is pretty good stuff. And definitely healthier than the old Aztecian Cactus Moss Water. But let's go ahead and jump in here, guys. With all that being said, let's take a look here at the charts, guys. Now, obviously, last week, I want to start off on the higher time frames, talk about what we were looking for last week, and the fact that we did get that to come in, not to brag, not to say we were right, but just to show you guys why when we look at these certain things on the chart, calling for potential lower lows, why we very oftentimes get them, right? It's all based off the TA. This was not my personal opinion. Well, I guess it was my opinion based off of what was higher probability, but it was all based off the charts. I did not want Bitcoin to break $100,000, but as we were looking at the charts last week, we understood that we did have... Let me go ahead and just throw that in a folder here because I'm going to bring that level up in a second. But as you guys know, last week, what were we looking at, guys? We had the obviously short from the high. So let me go ahead and pull up the actual short position. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Bada boom. So this is that short position, guys. Looking for that to bring us down to about $100,000. This trade actually played out in full to about $102,000. I held a portion of that trade, obviously, in anticipation of a new low to come in, looking to break structure to the downside here, cracking this low at $100,377. And that was for a very, 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 very specific reason, guys. Not only, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we had the macro 786 2 weeks ago, we had that macro 786 rejection. We were looking for the weekly close below that 786, making it very likely, right? I pull up this chart constantly. I'll actually pull it up over here because I think it's already marked out. I changed it. But you guys know, if you're looking for lower highs and lower lows, that golden pocket 786 is the area to do it at. We wicked up into the 786, had an opportunity to break out, but we wound up closing that weekly candle below, making it very likely to give us not only the lower high, and looking for that lower low for that break of structure to the downside. I've drawn this line 100 times over the past week or so, just anticipating, right? Like, this is the high probability area to put the lower high in at. I think the thumbnail even said, or maybe the title on Friday said 100K imminent, right? Question mark, obviously, never 100% certain there. But when we put those things on the live, on the titles and the thumbnails, guys, it's not for no reason, right? I always try to back up the thumbnails, back up the title at least 90%, just to show you guys 100K imminent question mark. Well, I do think so because of that reason, right? We rejected the 786. We tried to break out last week. We couldn't get above it. And then again, not only did we have that high time frame rejection, looking for the lower low, lower high, specifically looking to break this low here at $100,377, but we also had the local 786, which we were short from in the premium Discord, and I am still holding a portion of this position. We showed this last week a bunch of times. We had the 786 Fibonacci retracement when pulled from the local high to the low. We came up here. If we were looking for another lower high and a lower low, that rejection was likely to come in here, and that was that position I just pulled up for you guys. We were looking for that short position in the premium Discord, slapped it on down to here at about 102,000, locked in some profit, moved our stop loss into profit, looking for that continuation. And why on Friday, guys, was I looking for the continuation to break this low down here at $100,377? The simple reason was, number one, the whole market structure situation I just showed you. And number two, guys, we have the 12 and 16-hour money flow crossing over into the red. And I hammer this home every single live stream because more often than not, you will see this stuff play out. We have the 12 and the 16-hour money flow crossing over into the red, making it very likely that any bounces to the upside would be lackluster, lower highs and lower lows to come to take out that low. And we got that to play out absolutely perfectly. And when we did get this, guys, we were looking for price to come into a very key level of support, sitting right here at $100,000, between $100,000 and about $98,835. We have the golden pocket, $100,000 psychological level, and most importantly, in my opinion, this anchored VWAP pulled from the bottom of this downtrend. This is a massive, massive, massive level to hold. And part of the reason why I am saying there is a possibility. Now, you might think to yourself, is the doorway to 97K? Because you guys know the next big levels were obviously the 100K zone right here. And then underneath that, we obviously have the macro point of control of the range sitting at about $97,000. This is also in confluence with the 786 of the golden pocket that we're bouncing off of right now. But so is the doorway still open to that POC? I would say so. As of right now, it is still technically open. Money flow is technically still in the red on the 17-hour, on the 16-hour, and the 12-hour as well. So, any bounces here could still potentially be looked at as lower highs and lower lows to come to continue the overall downtrend. But one thing here, we cannot ignore how important this anchored VWAP is, guys. If we want to continue this uptrend, you would hope that this low comes in at that anchored VWAP, because once we break back down below this golden pocket, obviously we are going to anticipate that point of control and that 786 Fibonacci retracement, again, sitting between about $96,000 and $97,000. And from a volume profile perspective, if I just clean up the chart a little bit here, I don't want to add too many levels to the chart. At the end of the day, we are inside of our macro volume profile, at least as of right now. I'm going to show you guys why I do think a little continuation up here, at least in the medium term, could be likely, even if it does end in a lower high and a lower low, which again, at this point, like last week, we were looking for the lower highs and the lower lows to break this low. In this case, if we do put in a lower high and a lower low again, we'd be looking to crack this low down here that we just made. But I'll go over the bullish signals in a second, but I do just want to say, right, we're inside the larger volume profile, right? So if we are able to stay inside of here, right, or even come up above a little bit and put the lower high in, 97K is still on the table, right? We have the money flow in the red on the 16-hour. This could indicate, hey, maybe we get a lackluster bounce for lower highs and lower lows, just like we looked at throughout all of this price action, even up here, right? Looking for the lower high, looking for the lower low. and then we got that kind of fake out up. We were able to re-enter our short position because I was also short from up here. Re-entered, and then that played out beautifully. But, within the volume profile, if we stay inside here, guys, POC is open, and then at the end of the day, right, like, could you get a bounce off the point of control? Obviously, you can. Anytime we look at a volume profile, obviously the point of control is the highest volume node within that profile, making it the strongest magnet within the profile. But there's a reason why we look at the support levels before 97K, right? Because it is possible that you just go back down, retest $100,000, sweep the lows, hold the anchored VWAP, and the low is in, right? So I would say I'm cautiously optimistic here in the medium term. I'm going to show you guys the local levels of resistance I'll be looking at for rejections. But I will say, is there a possibility that the low is in? I would say yes, but I am going to be cautiously optimistic based off the fact that, again, if we get accepted, stay inside this profile or even break out and get re-accepted in, right? Once you get back below that value area high, the POC is still in the cards. We've also confirmed the weekly bearish divergence, which we have been waiting for a very long time. This red dot on the weekly had almost printed. It printed, disappeared, and now finally we have confirmed that, giving us the confirmation of this weekly bearish divergence. Higher highs on our price action, lower highs on our momentum waves. And that could potentially continue the move to the downside as well, right? So we have to understand 96 to 97K is the next major target to the downside if the downtrend continues. And again, I will go over the bullish case as well. Why do I think there is still an open door to 97K other than the volume profile, other than the Fibonacci retracements that we rejected? Again, higher time frame rejection here that I talked about on the, last week or 2 weeks ago on the 786, low, low, low. High, low, lower high, lower low. Very, very clear anticipation of that move with money flow coming out into the red. This 16-hour money flow, right, could just continue that downtrend, right? So I do think, and again, I'm going to go over why I think the continuation up could happen medium term, but could end in a lower high. We just have to keep in mind, right? Like, the doorway's open. I started feeling crazy last week saying, 100K, guys, right? 100K imminent, 100K imminent. And it's very, very validating to see that happen, right? Doesn't mean it was guaranteed to happen because we said it was. But again, the higher probability move was to come down there and tap that key level. Now, what makes me feel okay about this bounce from the level that we just came down to, that golden pocket? Somebody just rang. Okay, someone is at the door here. Please hold, guys. Please hold. Sorry about this. Just make sure it's nothing super, super important. It's probably just Amazon. I don't know. Some random. Okay, I can't even see them. All right. Well, anyway, continuing on, right? Why do I feel pretty decent about this bounce as we sit at about $104,180? Well, obviously, we came down to our key support. We did get some bullish confirmations down there locally. Now, unfortunately, guys, over the weekend, I was not in the studio as we approach these levels. I came back to the studio and was like, why does Bitcoin do this to me? I'm literally on the charts like, I want to say probably 23.6.5, right? Like, I'm literally on the charts constantly. We get the drop down while I'm just not at the charts, right? But we did get bullish divergences down here, which is very, very nice to see. Lower lows, higher lows. Money flow eventually came into the green, giving us that bounce back to the upside. And when we look at some of our higher time frame market cipher B confirmations, you guys can see, although money flow is still in the red here, potentially indicating, right, lower highs and lower lows to come. Over the long term, this green dot on the 16-hour, this green dot on the 12-hour, with our 1-hour money flow crossover into the green, which we did have earlier today. Now it's just kind of chopping up like crazy. This doesn't even really make sense to me, to be honest with you. We're getting a push to the upside. Money flows back in the red. But really what I was looking at with the premium Discord was the 45-minute money flow crossover into the green, right? We had the 45-minute money flow crossing over into the green with our 12-hour green dot, and we were looking at a very, very hyper-local level of support here at the local Golden Pocket 786 retracement, pulled from the low that we made up to the current high, right? And we were looking at this as a key level of support. No real entry confirmations down here. However, we were looking at this as a level of support, and this just gave us the very, very, very strong bounce, right? But we have the 45-minute money flow crossing over into the green with the 12-hour green dot, which could potentially, again, medium term, as we're seeing right now, continue that push to the upside, right? We've also, you saw the title, we reclaimed key support, right? I just wanted to double check that title, make sure it was accurate. We did reclaim a very key level of support, which is, shout out to the premium Discord, well, there's the POC, guys. As we pushed up here, right, we come up, we reject the value area low, we come back down, put in the higher low on our Golden Pocket 786. If you're looking for a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high to break that structure to the upside, that Golden Pocket 786 zone is the area to look at it for. Look, is the area to look at for it to come in. And once we reclaim this value area low, at that point, you have the 12-hour with the 45-minute money flow crossing into the green, looking for a continuation of that trend to the upside, making that next target the point of control. And here we are, right? Just happening live, getting that push up into the level. And at this point, guys, we are back within our volume profile. So I would say even medium term, right? And I'm going to show you one more signal that is not quite printing just yet. We might see it print here on the live stream, to be quite honest with you. But you get those 16-hour green dots, those bounces are very likely. The question of it being a big, massive breakout of this range into new all-time highs is another story, right? Because if we want to see a big breakout into new all-time highs, what do we really want to see here, right? Well, you pretty much want to see the opposite of what we're seeing right now, right? You want to see money flow being in like the red, right? Well, I don't know why I'm drawing it up there, right? You would want to see money flow being in the red, and then you get the drop down. You start to get the money flow crossover into the green. This would indicate a longer-term trend into higher prices, potentially targeting all-time highs between 115 and 137K. But right now, as the charts stand, we get new information on the charts every day, every minute, every second, right? So this can change. But with this money flow in the red, on top of the daily money flow coming out as well, shout out to Tony D said, did you grab the item I left for you for the stream? Yeah, shout out to Tony D. I actually just talked about it. Shout out to Tony D. We got the Aztecian Orca Moss Water here. Oh, God. That stuff is actually really good. I'm not a big flavored water guy, but yeah, hydrate and drink caffeine at the same time rather than me drinking 6 cups of black coffee a day, maybe even more sometimes. Why pumping? Shout out to FL Project. Well, there you go. 16-hour green dot, 12-hour green dot, 45-minute money flow crossover into the green, right? But as we look at this, right, daily money flow also continuing to trend to the downside here. Could this shoot off and come up much higher for a big breakout to come in? Potentially. But again, you know, as of right now, right, the only information we could take away from this daily, guys, is that money flow is coming out. And then again, you know, 16 and 12 hours in the red, right? Is this going to leak into the daily? Potentially. So longer term, I would still say, again, this is why I say cautiously optimistic. Nice low put in here. Strong bounce from the golden pocket. Again, we're reclaiming the value area low. Earlier today, saying, hey, we hold value area low in the premium Discord, looking up towards the POC. If we flip that POC, obviously the next major target will be the value area high at about $107,700. And this is going to be a very important level of resistance, and I'll explain why in just a second. But overall, from a simple standpoint here, guys, with the Market Cypher B setups right now, we could also look for the same signal that we see on the 12 and 16 hour right now to leak into the daily. As this VWAP, sure, money flow is coming out. That would be a longer-term signal. But if this green dot decides to print on the daily today or maybe even tomorrow, right, we might actually get it by the end of the day if we keep pushing up here. This could indicate that we get the green dot. Let's look at the 90-minute money flow. If we can get that 90-minute money flow to keep in the green here, that would give us the daily 90-minute Market Cypher B 116 strategy, just like the 16-hour, just like the 12-hour. This will likely leak into the daily, which would be the next major signal I would look at for a continuation to higher prices. This doesn't necessarily mean that we can't, like, cool off, right? But I would say as long as you remain in this volume profile, like any other profile we look at, hold the value area low, go to the POC. Flip the POC, go to the value area high. The exact same thing we looked at for the short position from up here. Deviate above the high, find those entry confirmations, get back into the range, can't break back out. That's where you go to the POC. And then money flow comes out on the 12 and 16 hour, making you anticipate a rotation to the value area low and potentially below. Right? High, POC, lose the POC, value area low, money flow continues out. You get the next drop to put that new low in that we looked for last week. Absolutely perfect, right? Same thing on the way to the upside here. If we get that daily green dot with that 90-minute money flow crossover, I would just be looking for another full rotation of this volume profile. However, if we come up to this value area high, we have to keep in mind where those key Fibonacci levels are. If we're going to come up, right, even to $107,000, right, or maybe even a slightly above that, right, we could potentially, I'm just going to treat this as a range, deviate below the low. If I was on the charts, I would be long from that $100,000 zone that we waited for so long. I'm like, it's crazy. For some reason, the longs, every time we come into a long setup, I am either not at the chart or sleeping, which is crazy. But obviously, we have these setups waiting. We have the levels. We talk about them on the live stream all the time. But again, you know, I just cannot long on this giant green candle. It just goes against every trading rule that I follow. So I just can't do that, right? I'll just wait for the next setup. But As long as we remain within this profile, guys, I'm going to be looking at this value area low coming in at $102,509. POC, which we just cracked above, which is really, really nice to see, sitting at $104,643. Hold above this, looking up towards that value area high. This value area high is very, very, very important because if we pull our Fibonacci retracement from the high all the way to the low, you guys can see here we do have 786 confluence on the value area high. Golden pocket, obviously a target that we can look at. We might actually come up there right now. But at the end of the day, the better, in my opinion, right, and again, right, if we see the daily print with the daily green dot print with the 90-minute money flow crossover, maybe we can continue that uptrend into the value area high. But we're not necessarily out of the woods there just yet because if we are going to continue that downtrend, that would be the level that I would look at to continue the lower high scenario to come in and break the low, to come down probably the next target, right? The lower target last week was $100,000. We came down there. If we put in another lower high and a lower low, that next target's going to be between $96,000 and $97,000. So it's going to be like the same exact kind of scenario that we looked at last week. And I was comparing this back in the chart with the premium Discord to all the way back here in 2024, right, where we kind of had this same thing, right? We kind of had this like large range forming. Every time we came up, we put in a lower high on the Fibonacci retracements, right? If you go high to low here, rejection at the golden pocket 786 for a new low to come. And then we had the same thing from the high to the low. When we got that retracement, rejected the 786 for a new low to come. And then even again, we had the same thing happen on that next rotation from the high to the low. We had our major target down here at about $51,000 to $52,000. We come up, lower high on the 786, continuing the overall downtrend, right? So it's a very similar situation that we're in like right here, right? Sure, if we break above, and there is that, I would say that 786 is probably going to be one of the bigger lines in the sand to flip to support in order to see an avoidance, right? In that case, right? Like again, $100,000 with that anchored VWAP from the downtrend is a very strong level to hold. If we want to continue the aggressive uptrend, that anchored VWAP from all the way down here would be the level that I would like to hold, right? And as long as we stay above that, break above that 786, new all-time highs could potentially come in here. But I would say this is definitely a big line in the sand, very similar to that 786 up here, right? We looked at this a couple weeks ago, break above that 786, new all-time highs. If we reject it, new low is probably going to come in, which we just saw happen over the weekend. So it's the same thing. If we could easily, just based off the volume profile, go from the low to the PLC to the high, flip that to support with money flow coming up, right? Again, if I were going to look for this range to break to the upside, really what you want to see is money flow crossing into the green, right? Not being in the red like we have right now. So maybe if we get up there, we see that money flow start to wiggle up and cross over into the green. But until that changes, right? Until this money flow comes into the green, we have to keep that open mind of lower highs and lower lows to come, right? And again, very similar to this situation here. Let me actually pull the bars pattern here real quick. Right? Not that it has to play out exactly like this, but it is somewhat similar with those high time frame 786 rejections, right? And it's like everybody gets super bullish on these big bounces, right? It's like, oh my God, we're pumping. It's like, this is key resistance, right? It's a doorway to higher prices, but if money flows coming into the red, which at least on the 12-hour it was here, right? We were starting to cross over into the red. New low is probably going to come. But if we just kind of, if I just kind of match this up a little bit, let's see if we can get some kind of resemblance here. Let me go ahead and hide some of these key levels. Bada boom. I'll just hide these. And I'll also hide the volume profile. Also get rid of these brushes. Yeah. Doesn't look super similar structure-wise, but again, I would say like the lower high, lower low scenario could be very similar, right? You'd have to kind of stretch this out. Obviously, the price action looks a bit different, but it's like your high, your low, your lower high, your lower low, lower high, lower low. I would say, yeah, very somewhat similar, right? Again, not that I would look at that as like, oh, that has to happen, but very similar situation where it's like, maybe we just continue to range around in our volume profile, which is why I absolutely love the volume profiles. Not only did we come into our key level of support here, but it was also a deviation below the volume profile. This is your cheap asset to at least look for some kind of a bounce. Reclaim value area low, POC is the next stop. Hold the POC, value area high is next stop. Until we break that 786. And money flow stays in the red here on the higher time frames like the 16-hour and the 12-hour, and even the 8-hour potentially, right? Come on, 8-hour money flow in the red as well. This could be another lower high before a new low to come in towards $97,000. If we flip that to support, I'm going to be looking up to potentially new all-time highs. Where are those new all-time high targets? I would say between $115,000 and $120,000. Above that, we look up to $137K. But money flow calls for the continuation of the overall downtrend. If it fakes out, we know that line in the sand to break out of to look for new all-time highs. I am going to be treating this as a simple volume profile. As long as you stay in this range, you can look for this to fill in full. If you lose the value area low once again, maybe you get a rejection. If we're looking for the lower high, I would say the big zone, right? I would look at these as two separate zones, right? You have the golden pocket, the 786 between about 105.8 and 108K. I would probably look at these as two separate zones, right? You have your golden pocket, and then you have the 786 value area high confluence. But if you're going to put that lower high in and see a similar situation to what we saw in the past that I just showed you for a new low to come in towards 97K, this would be the biggest area to lose, right? Or put the rejection in at. Just like this zone was the area to put the lower high in before the lower low. And even locally last week, from the high to the low, this was the area to put the lower high in to see that lower low. Same thing, right? If we do that, this is the zone to look at between $100 and $5,846 and $108,141. Simply put. Kind of stinks if we put the lower high in, but it's also kind of exciting because if we get up there, that's our doorway, right? Break above that, and very likely, once we get up there, there will be signs like, are we getting massive bearish confirmations? If so, we will probably be looking for shorts in the premium Discord, and if not, hopefully, although we did have the zone down here that we were looking for longs, I am personally not long from that level because I just wasn't on the chart, which is pretty crazy because you would think statistically, the amount of time I spend looking at the chart, you would think like 9 out of 10 times, well, I guess it is still true, like 9 out of 10 times I'm at the chart, but for whatever reason, every time we come to take the lows, I'm just not there. So that is pretty much what I'm looking at overall, guys. This is the biggest range to look at. I don't want to complicate things with all of the other overlapping ranges. There is a lot of sauce in here as far as like confluence on some of these key levels, right? Like obviously $105,750, pretty much where we're at right now, is a key level of resistance, right? And I don't want to overcomplicate this for everybody. Again, as long as you're within this local range, you could use this for context. However, when we pull up the macro volume profile, obviously this value area high is going to be a big level as well, right? Because if we reject here, it's definitely possible to continue down to that POC, right? And it is a bit difficult, right? Because if we break above this, it's not necessarily the line in the sand, just like back here. It's like, hey, if we break above this value area high, that's a bullish sign, but it wasn't until we broke the 786 that we would be looking for all-time highs. So it could just be like another deviation above the profile before finally breaking back in. And I know this seems so unlikely, right? It's like, oh my God, we broke out of the volume profile. But it's like, you reject that 786. Those lows are very likely to come. It's going to feel the same way here, right? If we break up into this 786, it's going to be like, well, not this 786, but this 786, right? If we break up in here, it's going to be like, oh my God, we're breaking out of the value area. But this could just be looked at very similar to this, right? You could just get slumped back in here and then head towards that POC, just like we slumped back in here and headed towards that $100,000 level that we had here. Where's it at? Am I blind? There it is. Down to that 100K level, right? This was the first level of support. If we lose that golden pocket, you're anticipating the 786, and again, that POC confluence. So we'll see. Tomorrow, if we are living up here near that 786 or hopefully above it, right, that greatly increases the chances of all-time highs. Maybe we skirt that thought process of coming down to the 97K level, but with money flow in the red here, we just have to be careful, guys. It helped us identify that next move down, and it could totally do the same thing again. And I know it gets exciting every time we get a pump to the upside, and for, what it's worth, I hope that everything flips around. I hope that daily green dot prints, that 90-minute money flow crosses over, and we just see this daily money flow scoot to the upside and come into a massive green wave for all-time highs. That would be very nice, but it would be silly to not entertain the fact that 12 and 16-hour money flow are coming out. That could also, just like the green dots are going to leak into the daily, that money flow crossover into the red on the 12 and 16-hour can very likely lead into the daily. And we just have to be aware of this as of right now. If we come up to the 786 and there's new information, we can then look up to higher prices. But for right now, don't forget our macro volume profile, value area high 105,750, POC 97K. And then, at the end of the day, even if we deviate above, once you get back, anytime you get back below this value area high, the doorway to the POC is open. And then, could you bounce off the POC, as I said earlier in the stream? Absolutely. Huge level of support. But if you lose that POC, technically, based off the volume profiles, you would go from value area high to POC, lose the POC, potentially even a move down to 90K. I'm not calling for that necessarily, but it's an if this, then that statement. If we don't bounce here, then we look down to the POC. If we don't bounce there or we don't get any confirmations there, we can look down towards that value area low for the full fill of the range. But right now, with the green dots and incoming on the daily, and if we look at the 80-minute, you guys can see here, 80-minute money flow trying to scoot to the green as well. So that is going to be the next big signal that I'll look for a bigger continuation up. But don't get it twisted. You could always just keep an eye on this local volume profile, right? And anytime we're at a value area high, it's an opportunity to look for a short, just like it was here, just like it was here, just like it was here. This was a little bit of a different profile at the time. But same thing, right? It's like, hey, we were even looking for potential all-time highs here, but you still have to be open to the idea that you're deviating above your volume profile. If market cipher B is giving you the signals, you can look for that full fill of the range, right? Down to the low, back to the high, deviation, short it back down to the low. Made a bunch of money on that short position, and I am still holding a portion of it in case that larger downtrend continues. If we get the bigger bounce, I'll stop out of the short and profit, and hopefully, man, I hate it. I hate it. I wish I was still long I wish I was long from here. But you know what? Most of the time, I would be in that long position. So I was covered in both situations, but just not in this case, right? So at that point, if I get stopped out of the short, I'll just have to wait for another sound long opportunity. Let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to oh man. Min, I don't know how to say your name exactly, but shout out to you, man. Said, if any case, I'm in a free trade now. Stop loss above break even. 125x at 99.1K. Let's go. Shout out to you, bro. Congrats. At least the Mafia is getting in on the levels. Man, I mean, listen, guys, I love spending time with Mrs. Candles, but sometimes I miss an opportunity like that. And it's like, you know, it would be more painful if it winds up sending us into all-time highs, right? If we just come up and put in another high here to continue down, it'd be less painful. But, you know, hopefully we get some kind of pullback to look for a long position to get back in. Let's see. Shout out to Perry. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. What indicator do we need for money flow? How do we read it? Shout out to Musica. Shout out to you. This is Market Cipher B. It is a paid indicator, although one of the most powerful indicators I've ever used in my entire life. I love this. I've used this before I ever knew Crypto Face. I've used it before I had a YouTube channel. But it is a paid indicator. You can save 20% with our link in the description down below, but don't get it twisted. You don't necessarily need Market Cipher to make money trading. It is just a very, very, very helpful tool. But yeah, this is Market Cipher B, and I have tons of free tutorials on the channel. If you're new here, just check through our beginner series. We have a ton of free trading tutorials to show you exactly what we look for. When I talk about this to you, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go watch through that beginner series. It's 100% free. It'll get you up to speed with what we look for. But at this point, right, living above this point of control, Golden Pocket would be the next target here at 106 to 106.5. Get above that. Value area high 786. And overall within the profile, get above the low. Next highest probability move to the POC. Hold the POC. Looking up towards the value area high. Right? So a few different things pointing not only to the Golden Pocket, but also the value area high 786. You just have to be careful around this key level. Does that make sense? Let's clean this up and come back into chat real quick. Shout out to Crypto Face. Shout out to Rob Dirt. Let's go. Not to be confused with Joe Dirt. Shout out to Rob Dirt. Bada boom, bada bing. I use Market Cipher also. Shout out to Island Steve. Let's go. I bet your TA is fire. Let's get it. Massive XRP short got me paid. Shout out to Bills. And when we start looking at the altcoins, guys, you're going to see, right, when we looked for Bitcoin to break this low at $100,370, right, we also looked for Ethereum. Once Bitcoin drops down below its low, right, and takes its low out, we were looking on Ethereum down to the Golden Pocket. We had the POC underneath us, but we knew once you get under that POC, you're going to be looking into that Golden Pocket value area low. Ethereum dropped into that level. XRP hit its our next key level. Now getting the big bounce. Oh, my God. This is actually... Whew. Oh, man. Oh, man. So we did get the drop. We knew that if we did not hold this daily MPOC 786 Golden Pocket retracement, right, if you were looking for this continuation of the uptrend, you would hope to hold that 786 Golden Pocket daily MPOC. Once you lose it, you're looking down towards the value area low, Golden Pocket retracement. Where are we getting the bounce from? Right from that exact level. Not too shabby, right? Almost all the altcoins pushed into those last levels of support. Even Solana, right? We've been looking at this full fill of the volume profile on Solana forever, deviating above the high, looking for acceptance back into the range to go to the POC, and we knew once we were unable to break out there, we were looking down to that value area low. The stronger level on Solana was sitting down here at the value area low, And here we are getting the bounce from that value area low. All levels given for free here on the live stream. Obviously, not talking about exactly what we want to see here. I do that more in the premium Discord, mostly on Bitcoin. But just giving all these key levels for free on this live stream, guys. And you can see, like, I know sometimes it feels crazy when you get a drop to the POC and then get a massive, 18% pump. It's like, what the heck? Are we not going to fill this profile in full? But more often than not, the volume profiles will give you that full rotation, especially because I would argue that at least on Solana and many of these other altcoins, right, like the real key level, sure, you have the daily MPOC point of control, which I can take this off the chart now, but like look at all the confluence down here. Golden pocket, value area low, daily MPOC, monthly MPOC, much stronger level down here. And to be honest, if I'm looking for longs, I always prefer to look for the longs at the value area low. Not that you can't bounce off the golden pocket, right? I mean, I'm sorry, the point of control. But it's always going to be a much better trade, in my opinion, from the value area low, right? Because you're already looking at prices undervalued. Here, you're pretty much at fair value, right? So it's like, are you going to hold the fair value and break out, or are you going to go the more higher probability scenario and get that full fill of that volume profile, right? More often than not, you will get that full profile fill. Right? Doesn't mean you can't bounce off the POC, but when you're accepted into a range from above, right, when you break down below a value area high, the full fill of that range is much more likely to come down to the value area low. When you approach from the low, right, and you break above that value area low, POC is next, flip that POC, value area high is next. Right? So it's not that you can't put in a higher low here and bounce out, but again, based off the laws of the volume profile, the rotation is very likely. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike via Piano. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate you. He says, man, I feel like the same thing happens every time. Dumps. I wait too long to buy in. I FOMO in. Dumps again. Is it too late to buy? Shout out to Mike. Here's my argument, right? I say this every time someone asks me this question. I can't tell you whether to buy or sell, right? And there's the golden pocket about to get tapped here. Here's the thing. It is very common. Oh. Come on, golden pocket. Let's set an alert here so we can just get the alert when we tap it. Here's the thing, right? This is a very common thing, right? FOMO is, in my opinion, one of the worst things possible, right? Because it makes you buy in at the worst time. After you get a big move up, like take me, for example, and I have to deal with a little bit more of like a brutal scenario, right? Because in the premium Discord, like we have these levels set. Oftentimes with the exact confirmations, if we can front run them, right? We look for the exact confirmations that we're looking for. And then I'm just out with Mrs. Candles. Shout out to Mrs. Candles. I love spending time with you, sweetheart. But, it's like if you're not at the chart, right, and you get the bounce, sometimes you just have to know, like, when it is okay to let the trade go, right? If you miss the long, you can catch the short. If you miss the short, you could catch the long. And this will, at the end of the day, right, when we looked at the bounce here, I had a very similar scenario where I was sleeping when we got the confirmation signals for the long position that we were looking at in the premium Discord here. So I missed the long position, but what do? I just catch the short to the downside. There's always another opportunity when it comes to trading. I highly recommend you separate your long-term spot bags from your trading account, right? My long-term spot bags are bought in between $20,000 and $21,000, right? Basically at the bottom of the bear market, right? So I am not trading with my entire Bitcoin bag, right? I am holding my spot Bitcoin for hopefully another new high, but with the shorter term positions, right? Like I don't care if I miss a short. If I didn't, right? I took the short, obviously. We talked about this plenty. But let's say, for example, I missed this short, right? It's okay. I could just catch the next long, right? If I miss the long, I'll catch the next short, right? If I miss this long and then the short, I could just wait for another higher low for a long setup. So I always say this. Missed opportunity is none of your business, right? It doesn't even matter. Sometimes you'll catch a trade, go from the value area low to the POC to the value area high. You might think like, oh, I'm getting bearish confirmations. Let me close the whole trade. And then price continues to run. You have to try your best to eliminate the emotions of missing out, right? That will get you wrecked 9 out of 10 times. And shout out to Vinny or Mike via Piano. This is what you're feeling, right? You're feeling that you're getting the FOMO, right? Like in my opinion, in my personal situation here, right? Like even though I was looking for the bounce here, if I miss the move, right? Like I cannot long on this giant green candle. Does that mean that we're definitely not going to fly to the upside? No, right? Like I'm going to look at this and say like I cannot long this big green candle, right? That's just my trading rules. Could Bitcoin, even if I'm anticipating a push to the value area high, I am not just going to long here, right? Because if I take a long position here, what's your stop loss look like, right? It's not about guessing up or down and then just getting into a trade. You have to wait for your setup to get hit. We waited forever for this long zone to get hit in the premium, right? 100K. We waited forever for this level to get hit. So it's not that, let's say like you think you should have longed here, right? It's like, oh my God, I should have longed here, right? And then you FOMO in on the green candle, and then you were just better off waiting patiently for your key level to get hit anyway, right? So, for me personally, I can never long here, right? If Bitcoin shoots up here, I'm just watching it go, right? It's like, okay, cool. I anticipated the value area high, and it wound up getting a bigger breakout. That's totally fine. I made a bunch of money on this short, right? Bitcoin will come back down. Bitcoin will go back up, right? There's always another... What the heck is this? Why did that happen? There's always another opportunity on the chart. I never chase these big green candles. Just like up here, I was not chasing longs. I was only looking for shorts. And that's where a lot of people will be like, what the heck, bro? We're breaking out. Why are you looking for shorts? It's like, well, that's where you want to look for shorts, right? You want to look for longs as price is going down. If you feel scared, it's probably a sign that you probably should be looking for longs. Now, I'm not saying once you're scared, just randomly long, right? You have to have a key level, right? The only reason we expected a bounce here was because we had our key level sitting here that we waited for ever since down here, right? We barely front ran this level. Last time we came down to break near $100,000, we front ran it, never hit the support, and sent it back up. And then eventually we finally did come down and push into that level. But it's an if this, then that statement. This is the trap, right? You come into your trap, you look for the entry confirmations, which here we had some nice bullish divergences, as I showed before. Lower lows, higher lows. Once you start getting those, it's like, well, hey, what's the risk to reward here? Well, if you're looking for an entry here, let's just say on the 30-minute bullish divergence, or this is the 24 minutes, both the 30-minute, right? 30-minute bullish divergence, right? Like whether you enter directly at the low, let's just say you catch a, whatever, you see a 1-minute bullish divergence down here, which I actually think you did have. No, I'll just catch like a super low time frame bull div here. Did you have the 1-minute bull div? Potentially. No, right? So I'll just pull up like a 5-minute. I'm sure you have some kind of bull div here. Yeah. So when you look at this, right, you're saying, well, hey, I have lower lows on price action. You didn't really get it on the 5. I'll just use the 15-minute, right? So you have your 15-minute bull div here, lower lows, higher lows. So let's say you enter right here, right? You don't catch the perfect bottom of the move. You don't need that perfect entry, right? But let's just say you enter somewhere on this green dot printing, right? Boom. Sure, you didn't long the bottom, right? But if your target here is at least going to be the value area low, your stop loss is just below this low, right? And then you have almost a 3 risk to reward, right? So that's a nice setup. But if I long up here, where's my stop loss going to go, right? My stop loss, if I put it below the next major low, like it's got to be down here, right? If not down here, right? And if I know that I'm approaching resistance, right, I could reject this golden pocket, right? So what is that risk to reward if we reject this golden pocket, right? I'm just longing into resistance. So it's like literally the worst risk to reward ever if you get the rejection here. If you don't, oh, maybe we go up to the value area high. Still a terrible risk to reward. Well, let's say we go into all-time highs, right? Or let's not even say all-time highs. Let's say we go revisit these highs. Still a pretty bad risk to reward, right? So that's why I say never long green candles, right? Like, because it's just because you think, even if I think price is going up, I can't just long into resistance like this. I don't care if it comes up. If it comes up, it's like, all right, cool. I'm not taking that risk, right? Like, even if I'm confident in the move. I have to wait for a good setup. And to wait for those good setups, guys, it takes patience, right? And you also have to have the confidence to go against your emotions, right? Because here it feels really scary, like, oh my God, we're going to zero, right? But if you long down here, right, much better risk to reward, right? Because you could say, well, hey, value area low could be the next big target. That's still not even that bad. It's a 2 risk to reward. And then it's like, if we get back in this value area low, I could look to potentially fill the range in full. Great risk to reward. If it goes into all-time highs, and it turns into a swing trade, obviously I would take profit along the way, move my stop loss to break even. Told the premium Discord if they took a long off that local golden pocket from this morning, hey, hitting the value area low, it's a key level of resistance, maybe take partial profit. Well, I don't tell them to take profit. I say this is where I would look to take profit and move my stop loss to break even for a guaranteed winning trade. So you take a little profit, and if it turns into a massive swing trade into new all-time highs, say 120K, right, 118, 119K, it's like, all right, well, cool. The risk reward was great there. But you can't just long into resistance like this, or I personally don't. Could you long here and make money? Yes. But more often than not, right, like even here, right, like why would I not long into this big green candle? Well, I knew that we're approaching the area where we have a high probability of a rejection, right? So it's like even if the charts were saying up here, it's like, well, if I long, it's like I'm just longing into resistance, right? And it's like, where's my stop loss? It's just not a great trade. It's not about understanding if price will go up or down and just entering a trade, right? You have to wait for your key level to get hit. You have to have a plan. When you trade, you have to have some kind of a plan. You find your key levels of confluent support or resistance if you're looking for shorts, and then you say, if I come on down into this level and I see the bullish confirmations I want to see, I will take a trade. If I see a long setup before I front run that level, can you take a long? Yes, but you have to understand that the probability of coming into that key level is probably likely. And then when you dump into that level, you have to have the confidence to know what to look for and then have the confidence to take the trade and understand the good risk to reward, right? It's not just about saying, oh, we have a money flow crossover, I think we're going up. It doesn't necessarily mean the entry is great right there, right? I mean, heck, even if it does continue up here, right? Let me come back here and get that TA back on the chart here. Even here, right? It's like, even if this does continue up, was this the best entry to enter on that green candle? Absolutely not. So shout out to, what was it, Michael, I think. That's probably what you're doing, right? You're seeing that green candle, you're feeling the FOMO, you just want to jump in. But you have to understand that, even if you are just going to put in higher lows and higher highs here, which might be possible, right? If you get that green dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover, this is not necessarily the best entry, right? At this point, you've already gotten a pretty big move up, even today, right? Like, I'm very rarely looking to take a long after getting a 6% move to the upside because of the risk to reward. Right? Doesn't mean, even at that point, right, if this just scream up, right, it's like, well, all I can do here is look for the short position. It's the exact situation I was here before we took that beautiful short down to 100K, right? It's like, well, hey, it feels bullish here, but I cannot FOMO in on this green candle, even if I thought it was going to continue up. The only thing I can do is look to take shorts, right? If I think it's going to continue up, maybe I look at this as a scalp short for a higher low and a higher high or something, but I just can't look for a long there, right? You can, but that's just not, in my opinion, the best place to look for entries, right? But I know it sounds super, super like backwards, right? I know it sounds like, why would you look to short on green candles? That's how the market moves, right? Every good short is going to come in on a green candle as price is coming up, right? Very often, right? Like if you see this big dump to the downside and you're like, oh my God, we're dumping. Let me enter it, even if you get it a little early, right? Let's say you start dumping, you're like, let me short here. The move down already happened. We short up here and enjoy that massive move down. If you see the big drop, oh my God, I'm losing the range, and you enter in here, it's like the move already happened, right? So like the only thing you could look for down here is longs. And then you would look for a new short as you retrace to the upside, right? If you know where to look for those lower highs and lower lows, which we just talked about, right? So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit difficult to understand, like why would you be looking for longs on green candles? But, even this little move here, it's like, you would have even been better to wait for a little bit of a pullback to enter, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Shout out to Diaz, says, I've lost so much money because I didn't have a plan. Chased every big green candle. Yeah, and I'll be honest, I think that it's like almost unavoidable to fall into that trap, right? Like I think most people just have to, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. What do you think I did when I first started trading? I did the same thing everybody else did, right? I'd be like, oh my God, it's going up, let me long. Because last time we got a big pump. Right, but until you understand how the markets move, right, or you understand, like even here, right, am I ever longing on the break into the value area? No. I'm at least waiting for some kind of either retest of the value area low or maybe even find like a little higher low on a Fibonacci retracement level, which maybe was right here. No. So like even here, right, like you break in, can you take the long? Yes. And I would argue even here wouldn't even been that bad of a situation, right? You break up, you take a long, you're short, your stop loss can go like below this local low maybe. And then you target the POC, right? So almost a 3 risk to reward. Not that bad, right? But you're definitely not longing, into the massive green candle. Never really a great idea, in my opinion. Not financial advice, right? Feel free to chase green candles. Once in a while you will get lucky and you'll catch that move. But over time you're going to wind up, shout out to Michael, and I'm not in any way picking on you at all. Like what you're experiencing is like one of the most normal things when you get into trading. You'll find yourself having the experience that Michael's having where you're just long in green candles and getting crushed every time, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Yeah, we all have scars from FOMO trade. Shout out to Steve. Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Steve. Yeah. Shout out to Frank J. Said, I kept trying to short this and got wrecked. LMAO, I opened a new position now. Shout out to Frank. Well, hopefully that one goes better. And again, like just, also to say this, right? Like, just because there's a giant green candle doesn't necessarily mean I'm looking for a short position, right? Could we get a rejection here? Sure. But for me personally, right, like the next interesting level that I would look at would be at the value area high, right? If I were to take a short here, it would be looked at as a scalp for a continuation up to the bigger key level anyway. With all that being said, right, you don't just want to like short random green candles and long random red candles, right? You have to, again, have that plan. We had this level sitting here. What happens, right? And I'll bring you through this in real time, right? Just to kind of show you what it looks like and what it feels like, right? You're like, oh my God, the short slapping, right? Which it was. Smack into the downside. Oh my God, we're front running. We're coming down to our key level, right? You're watching your price action. It's like, all right, now we've come down to the anchored VWAP. Let's see what happens, right? Now I'm looking down at the lower time frames. Am I getting any kind of significant, okay, I got a little 5-minute bullish divergence here, right? And even if you entered on that, like, could you come down below? Sure. Obviously a 5-minute bull div is not necessarily an indication that you're going to get a massive move up, but it could be looked at as an entry trigger if you have higher time frame signals, right? But if you're looking, I like to look at the 15-minute. That's kind of like a good happy medium between like the micro time frames and like the 30-minute to 1 hour. So you're sitting here, right? 15-minute bull divs are one of my favorite. I don't really have a 15-minute bull div. Sure, you have it across these lows, right? You have lower lows. Do you have higher lows here? Not really. Also, you have money flow coming out, but you're watching price. You let it interact with your level, right? And then you're sitting here and you're like, all right, cool. Now, what does this look like? This looks like if we come and take this low again, we could print a nice little 15-minute bullish divergence, right? Then you're looking up at the 4 hour and you're like, well, hey, if I get that 4 hour green dot to print, which might happen soon because that VWAP is rolling up, that would give me a 4 hour green dot with a potential 15-minute money flow crossover into the green, which is good for a continuation to the upside. I think we do take the low again. Yeah, there it is. Right? Now you have your 15-minute bull div confirmed. And even if you don't snipe the low, say you enter here, first target would be the value area low, stop loss below the low, right? And let's see, you have 15-minute bullish divergence. If this money flow starts cruising to the upside, you're thinking to yourself, okay, now money flow's starting to come up here. If that 4 hour green dot starts to print, which is getting closer. Right now, the VWAP is ticking towards that 0 line. If this green dot prints and that 15-minute money flow crosses over into the green, I can anticipate an overall continuation to the upside. Now the 15-minute money flow is crossing over, and you get the push up, right? And at this point, right, you're not even at your first take profit, but like you're already in a situation where you can maybe move your stop loss to break even. Guaranteed winning trade, right? If you don't lose this level again, you're either going to get stopped out and lose no money. Maybe you'll pay some fees, right? But you're either going to get stopped out at break even, or the trade's going to run. You're going to make that money, right? And this is exactly how I would have handled this if I was at the chart over the weekend as we came to take this low. I came in after we got the pump to the upside, right? So, that's kind of how you can view this stuff. And then even here, right, I'll actually walk you guys through the nitty gritty here, right? Because trading is hard. Not a lot of influencers will tell you that. Influencers will tell you, oh, it's easy. Just get in my Discord. I'll tell you when to buy and sell. You're not going to get rich like that. I promise. If it was that easy, everybody would do it, right? But even here, right, you're looking at this. We wind up coming up to the value area high, I believe, or a value area low. Did we get the correction first? I think, yeah. Okay, so we got the push into the value area high, right? At that point, you're like, okay, cool. TP1, stop loss to break even. Now it's not only a risk-free trade, but a guaranteed winning trade. Because if you stop out and you come back to your entry and you stop out, not only are you stopping out for no loss, but you also are already locked in money, right? So, and then here, what happens is we get a bigger correction. This is what we were looking at in the premium Discord earlier today. We were looking at the, let me just move this forward a little bit, right? We get the cool off, and we were looking at the full golden pocket 786 retracement. So even if you're looking for a long position, and I'll explain to you why I did not long this, obviously would have been a great decision, but even here, are you going to long this green candle? Probably not, right? You're going to either let it go or you're going to wait for a bigger pullback into a key level, which obviously was sitting here at the local, at the local golden pocket 786, right? So if this trend is going to continue to the upside, this would be the area to put the higher low in before breaking structure to the upside. So you don't want to long the green candle. You want to wait for a pullback into a key level of support. And even in the Discord, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Right, actually explain. I even explain exactly why, right? Looking here, saying, hey guys, golden pocket 786, we could bounce here. However, what I like to see for those long positions, which was explained in the post, right? Like, we don't really have any good entry confirmations here. Could you bounce? Yes. And it would have wound up being a great entry, but I did not see the signals. I didn't take the trade. Would it have been nice to make that money on the long? Absolutely. But we didn't really get any entry confirmations, but we knew that we could get a bounce from here, right? It was a very, very key level. Not, oh my God, we're pumping, it's about to moon, right? It's just waiting for the pullback, looking for the bounce as price is coming down. And then what happens a few minutes later? Bing bong, right back up to the value area low. Flip the value area low, you look to go up to the POC. What happens? You get the continuation of the upside. Now, why was I looking for the continuation up? It's exactly what I explained before. 12-hour green dot with the 1 hour and 45-minute money flow crossing over into the green. This indicated that the trend was very likely to continue to the upside. Get into the low, hold this as support, money flow in the green, 12-hour green dot, continuation to the POC, and potentially beyond. Right? So it just goes to show that, like, this was not the place to long. You would have gotten stopped out there very likely, or maybe even liquidated. But if you just wait for the pullback to the key level, much better place to take longs on the big red candles, right? Rather than FOMOing in on the long candles. Even here, long, wrecked, right? Doesn't mean it's not going to continue up, but that does not, just because you're expecting a move to the upside does not mean it's a great entry. So hopefully that makes sense. I digress. I just like to help out the Mafia as much as I can, understanding, you know, even if you know where the direction of the market is likely to go, it doesn't mean just randomly enter a long position. Could you do it? Yes. Will you make money sometimes? Yes. Will it be long-term profitable? Probably not. If it was that easy, we would just wait for green candles and long, right? The candles would be your indicator, right? You'd just be like, oh my God, green candle, long. So there you go. Let's see. Oh, season, man, there we go. Isn't this crazy, right? Apparently, ceasefire to start at 9 p.m. This is kind of, I'll talk about this as well. Someone asked me my stance on the geopolitical situation. Listen, and this is another reason why I say, right, we have the 100K zone where obviously, you know, we don't know what's going to happen down here, right? Maybe we get the bounce, and then if we get some bad news where it's like, oh my God, we're going to continue to drop some BOMBs, you know, that would very likely open up the door to continue down to 97K. If we get something like a ceasefire or bullish news off that event, right, that would mean very likely that would be a beautiful scenario, meaning this is the low for new all-time highs to come potentially, right, or at least the value area high. But from a technical standpoint, right now, the volume profiles give you a very, very clear view of what's going on. We're rejecting the golden pocket. Is it possible to put in a lower high here? Technically, yes. But with the incoming daily green dot, I would say, as long as you remain above this POC and really just the value area low in general, hold above this point of control and even the value area low, remain within this profile. The higher probability here, volume profile-wise, is to get above the low, POC. Hold the POC, go to the value area high. That's what I'm going to be looking for. If we lose the value area low again, that's fine, right? Maybe we lose the golden pocket and go down to 97K. But if we get that news, right, that news winds up being bullish, maybe we get the send to the upside, right? And then if that is the case, you have to understand that the market cipher B's money flow on the 16-hour, although as of right now, it is in the red. Even if you come up a little bit, you could continue into a bigger red wave, which would mean lower high, lower low is more likely, just like it was here, right? If we get bullish news like that, right, like the indicators, it's not going to care, right, probably what the indicators are saying at that point, right? We might just get like a scam pump to the upside. And then maybe this just rips back up. But that bullish news, 9 p.m., oh, there's the daily green dot. 90-minute money flow and 80-minute money flow crossing into the green. This would mean higher probability of a continuation up. Doesn't have to be directly from here, right? Maybe you get the 90-minute red dot, you get a little turbulence, right? But you just continue the overall trend to the upside. The money flow indicates the trend. The green and red dots indicate the ebbs and the flows, right? So maybe your 90-minute red dot gives you a little cool off, and then you put in a higher low and a higher high as long as that money flow stays in the green with that daily green dot printing. So funny enough, I said in the beginning of the stream, maybe we'll see that green dot print live. And there we are, right? Green dot printing. 80 and 90-minute money flow crossing into the green. That would be these bullish signals on the 12 and 16-hour now leaking into the daily. And then maybe if that gives us the big move up, we get above the 786, and then you have the 2-day green dot looking to print, and money flow stays in the green on the 2-day. Don't forget, we have the monthly Heikinashi green dot printing. This has been a sign for new all-time highs to come every single time. Here, 2-day money flow crosses into the green, monthly green dot happens right here, next leg up. Consolidation, right? 2-day money flow crosses into the green. Monthly green dot happens right here. Next leg up. Consolidation. Monthly green dot is printing. 2-day money flow crossover into the green has already happened. Are we going to get another push to the upside? Like I said, there are arguments here for 97K to come in and new all-time highs, in my opinion. This could be the low. It totally could be the low, especially if we get bullish news, based off the geopolitical situations. But if we get the rejection from the 786, the opportunity to put in the lower high and the lower low is still in the cards. So, like I said, we're in a bit of a complex situation here. I think there's a good argument for the bull case to new all-time highs. I also think there's a good argument that if we reject that 786, you could see 97K. All I'm going to be doing is playing this locally on the volume profile. Simply put, right? We let the charts guide us. Shorts up here. Longs down here, or longs down here, shorts up here. And then as price action develops, right, again, I can't just long the green candle. If we get some kind of a cool-off into local levels of support, maybe we can look for a new long position. So there you go. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. XRP Belgium said 125K incoming. Listen, if we go into new all-time highs just to talk about this, again, like, honestly, the title of this live stream could be Pump or Dump, right? It's like, what is going to come? 16 to 12-hour money flow would say down. Daily green dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover would say up. But we just got to make sure that green dot's not just going to give us the little fake out on money flow, lower high, lower low. Direction is always the most important on money flow. We really want to see this money flow come up in a big way for new all-time highs. And then the 2-day and the monthly setup throws even more confusion out there. But we had our target hit. Unfortunately, I missed the long, but nice to see it play out, right? Shout out to Pose said, Frankie Candles, how could somebody explain that news always comes in the same way our analysis shows? We could say we predict the news. Yeah, shout out to Pose. The famous saying, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news every single time, right? If you ask me, if you ask someone who doesn't, like, know TA, right, they'd be like, well, why are we pumping? Right now, right? Let's just say we get the, ceasefire news, right? You come up. People are like, why are we pumping? Like, oh, we just got a ceasefire. But the signal here on the charts with the bullish confirmations into the key level that we've been looking at all the way since back here, the signs were on the charts way before the news happens, right? Same thing with the short, right? I think was this the dump, or was this the dump off the last bearish Donald Trump news, right? No, I think it was this one. It was the short that I'm in right now. We take the short off technical signals, and then literally during the live stream, we get the bearish news and we dump live. And it's like, why am I short? It's like, I didn't short because I thought that news was coming. I shorted based off the technical factors, and then we just fill in the blanks. I think I talked about this last week, where we talked about if we do get a bounce, just like on the way down, we short up here based off technical factors, then the news comes in, fills in the blank, gives us the fuel that we need to come down. But we already shorted based off the charts, right? The charts let us know up here. The news is like, you're already, if you shorted on that news, you would have been quite a stressful situation, right? And then you probably would have gotten stopped out before the big move. That's why you always want to short at resistance, right? Regardless of what the news is. Down here, it's like, okay, cool. You have entry signals into a key level of support, and then it's like, if there's bullish news, who knows? Just fill it in here. You don't have to try to predict that, right? The signal comes in on the TA much before you get that news, right? We don't know that there's going to potentially be a ceasefire down here, right? So TA will always trump everything for me. Sometimes can you get news that goes against your TA and the news gives you the move that the TA said wasn't going to happen? Absolutely. That is 100% possible, right? Trading is a game of probabilities, not certainties. So there you go. All right, let's see here. And then honestly, all the also the altcoins as well, right? Like, dipped into the key levels of support. Solana down into our key level we looked at last week. Ethereum into the key level that we looked at last week, right? Did we know that we were going to get more bearish news to get the dump over the weekend? Not necessarily, right? But we knew once we lost this anchored VWAP, right? Break down below the value area low. If you can't reclaim the anchored VWAP / value area low for a push back into the range, you would look for the POC next. Lose the POC, you look down to the golden pocket value area low zone. That's exactly what happens, right? It's nothing to do with news, has nothing to do with technology, has nothing to do with anything, right? It just has to do with the chart. And then again, we get a big rip up, just fill in the news. Fill in the news. So there we go. Okay, we just got a ceasefire 1 minute ago. Send it to $1 million. Send it to $1 million. There we go. Yo, shout out to Golden Child said, little did you know the Pentagon has Market Cipher B open at every meeting when the red dot prints initiate the attack. Shout out to Golden Child. It does seem like that sometimes, to be quite honest. Let's see. Don't forget to smash that like button. I don't think I said that once today, guys. If you smash the like button today, if we get 1,000 likes, we'll be giving away not only crypto on Friday, but if we hit 1,000 likes, I'll give away $150 Solana on top of the crypto giveaways that we'll already do. Last week, we gave away a bunch of Cardano. We gave away a bunch of Frankie Candles hats, proven to increase your profitability and your technical analysis skills. But if we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, I will give away $150 in Solana to one lucky Candle Mafia member. So smash it up, baby. If you appreciate the free TA, if you were here when we were looking for a break of the lows last week and you saw them come in, smash that like button. We do this for free. Let's see. XRP, not one, not two, but 3 ETFs live in Canada, 22 ETFs for XRP. So yeah, Ethereum, guys, obviously, again, right? Like same thing here. It's like when we talk about these key levels of support, we get the dump. People probably feel very scared. But at this point, it's like, could you long here and price continues up? Sure. Is this the best entry? Probably not. right? I can't tell you that it's guaranteed going to pull back from here, but, again, it's like we call these levels before they get tapped. There's a reason that we look so far into the future, like especially on Solana, right? Like we were looking at all these key levels, not only the POC before we came down to it, but also the value area low. Is it time to long Solana after you bounce off the key level? Probably not. You're approaching resistance, right? We looked at it ever since we put these bearish confirmations in up here. We say, hey, if you get accepted back into this range, you could go for a full rotation of that volume profile, right? But once you get the bounce off the POC, like this is not the time to long, right? The time to long was on the way down, right? Same thing here. Could you long, flip this POC to support and then get a move to the value area high? Potentially. But like, again, like would the move into the value, like is this the place to long? Probably not. It is the opposite, right? You're looking for the long on the push down, not on the push up. In a strong uptrend, obviously you're going to have to long within the move up, right? But again, that's where you would look for like lower time frame retracements, potentially into key levels of support for the continuation up. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't want to over confuse everybody with all these like crazy levels, right? We had 2 levels on Solana, POC value area low. We've come down to this level. This looks pretty nice, right? Ethereum, same thing, right? Would I even talked about getting the drop down to the golden pocket value area low, saying, is this where I'm going to be mega bearish on Ethereum? No. It's support, right? And also this golden pocket is an area to potentially put in another higher low for a continuation to the upside. Now, if Ethereum gets a continued bounce, these are the local levels I'll be watching. Number 1, anchored VWAP, absolutely huge. If we reclaim this anchored VWAP, value area low, you have golden pocket confluence here as well, right? So, potentially an area where you can get a rejection from. But once you're able to reclaim this value area low, well, hey, where's the next place for price to likely go? Sure, you have the 786 at about 25.60, but overall, you could look for a potential push into the POC, which is also confluent here with our full golden pocket from the high to the low, right? This is a local golden pocket 786. We don't know if price is going to put in a local lower high for a lower low to come, or if we're just going to go for that full golden pocket 786 retracement from the high all the way to the low. This is typically the stronger retracement level from the absolute high to the low, right? So if we get back above this value area low, you could be aware of those local resistance levels that I just had on the chart. But if you flip this value area low to support, look up towards the POC golden pocket confluence. Maybe you get some turbulence there. But once you get above that, you're almost already at the value area high, and you can look for that 786. Once you break that 786, the target once again becomes 3,000 to 3,150 at our daily MPOC macro golden pocket retracement from the previous high at about $4,000, right? This golden pocket is the full retracement from the high all the way to this massive low that we got in April. So if you go for a full golden pocket retracement, that brings you between $3,000 and $3,100. But you have to make it through all these local levels first. So locally, value area low anchored VWAP sitting between about 24.74 and 24.50. Flip that to support. Look to go into the POC. Flip the POC, go to the value area high, potentially the 786. Once you flip that, well, hey, could break out and get that move to our bigger target sitting up here. Simply put, all levels we've been looking at, right? This range remains exactly the same. That's your area of balance. Actually, you could probably extend this a little bit. Doesn't change the levels really at all. So yeah, this is your previous area of balance. Just be aware of not only the full retracement level, but also the local ones that I just talked about. But very nice to see that level hit on Ethereum, and we get the bounce, right? Everybody feels bearish down here, but you're bearish at support, right? If you do feel bearish down here, just understand that, right? This is not the place to get bearish. Even if the downtrend continues, like chances are, you're going to get some kind of a bounce before you continue down. That's not the place to short. The place to short would be up here, or even up here, or even up here, right? On the green candles. So there you go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Toasty Fry said, holding my long on XRP from the value area low sent me the Moon Boys 10K target. Let's go. Shout out to Toasty Fries. I doubt 10,000. I think you're joking, but yeah, as we all know, guys, I am not looking for $10,000 on XRP. Let's see if we can make it to, the $5 zone would be very, very nice. And then if we break off this cycle, if we are continuing into all-time highs, we'll look at $14, maybe to $20. Let's see if we can get that. But we are far away from $10,000. Not that I don't want it to go to 10K, but that would be very nice. I'm not even really going to cover XRP too much here just because, yeah, I think I'm going to have to start covering not as many levels, right? Because it's like we looked at this level last week, lose the daily MPOC, you look down to the value area low golden pocket, right? So I can take this off the chart because this is now tapped. So yeah, and now you're just deviate below the low. This is undervalued. You have the nice golden pocket support below. Losing this level would have called for a move down to $8.83, which is still, if you do wind up getting some kind of massive rejection here down to the 786, that would be your next key level. But yeah, value area low, golden pocket. This is where you want to be looking for longs underneath the value area low. This is undervalued for at least some kind of a bounce. If you can reclaim value area low and hold it, POC would be the next target, sitting right here, which this would have to move, actually, to the golden pocket POC. Sitting right now, next target to the upside, medium term here. As long as we can hold above the value area low, next target would be about 237 up to about 240. Flip that to support, look up to the 786, 250. Break that. Value area high would be the overall anticipation. From the high to the POC to the low. Play it around. Deviate below the low. Back in. POC. Value area high. That would be the fulfill. That's what I would look at on XRP. So yeah, next level. I mean, the only other thing I can see here is if we can't hold the value area low, which if we get bullish news might be unlikely that we lose this again. But if we did lose it again, I'll give a little bit of a freebie here. If you wind up losing that value area low golden pocket, once you lose the golden pocket, you look down towards that 786. If you were able to get down there, could be looking for some kind of a 4-hour bullish divergence, which would be nice because you don't really have you don't have any 4-hour bullish divergence here. It's not that you need it, but having a nice bullish divergence here with money flow coming up on the 4-hour would look nice. But again, you have to lose these levels, right? We're already back in the range. So as of right now, the next target would be the POC. But if you get some kind of shocking drop to the downside, all eyes on that 786 at $1.83. I know a lot of people were probably focusing on the local levels here, right? Saying, oh, we're not going to go back down to the golden pocket, but it's always worth it to have that thought process in mind because a lot of times you do come back down to those levels. So yeah, I would say hold above about 205. Next target would be about 240. Lose the golden pocket at $1.97. Look to come into that 786. And again, just a little freebie here. A little 4-hour bullish divergence as a confirmation down there would look pretty nice, in my opinion. You also have a daily bull div forming here on XRP as well. Higher lows, that green dot's about to print. I mean, hey. Lower lows, deviation below the low, undervalued asset, bullish divergence printing, that green dot prints. Whew. POC's next target. Eventually, value area high could come in next. So there you go. That's what I look at on XRP. Let's see. Oh, shout out to Toasty Fries, Daily Bull Div. You front ran me on that, bro. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to Toasty Fries. Says, I'm joking. My TP is at the POC in the value area. Hello, let's go, Toasty. Not only do I love that you're not just moonshotting for 10K, but I love those targets that you have next because those are the exact targets that I literally just said. So on the same page there. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Bitcoin dominance, also another thing that we can take a look at here, guys. Bitcoin dominance, as we've looked at pertaining to the altcoins. What did we look for last week, guys? Coming into the 786, what we wanted to see here specifically was that weekly candle closure below the level to get a big dump down towards that value area low, which would be a first indication of like, hey, maybe these altcoins can really start to get going. What happened? Obviously, Bitcoin lost its low or took its low, and all the altcoins followed. Weekly candle closure above the 786, right? So we didn't get what we wanted there on Bitcoin dominance. Next major target, if we continue up, 66.21%. You can see we came just slightly. Yeah, we got just into that, almost into that 786. This is still untapped, so that is still technically a target to the upside. I know we're pumping right now. Bullish as of right now, right? But just understand here, for the altcoins as well, really, if we push up here, this would be the next major level to reject. If we flip this 786, guys, just like when we flipped this 786, that 66.21% was next. We flip that 786 up here at 66.21. Honestly, the next level that I would be looking at is 68.87%. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with that. Obviously, we are getting a little pullback here. But, at this moment, just based off the volume profile, your goal here would be to decisively lose that point of control and get a dump down towards the value area low, lose the value area low, get the drop down towards out of this volume profile, right? That would likely be where you see the larger alt season come in that everybody is waiting for. And again, it is very, 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 very tied to potential rate cuts coming in, right? If we don't get the rate cuts, alt season's probably going to get delayed. If we get them early, they're probably going to pump sooner than later. If we have to wait till September, that's probably where we'll see it happen, right? And maybe it's a slow grind. Maybe we start to pump up into the rate cuts, and then we hopefully don't get disappointed and we get them, and then it sends them off into, the heavens. But we'll have to let things develop here. But we did close that weekly candle above the 786. What happened? All those altcoins hit down to their next key levels of support. But we are getting a nice little bounce here. So there you go. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Yeah, shout out to Indian. Said 2 members of the Fed said that they were considering alt cuts, rate cuts in July, so potentially alt rally in 3 weeks. Yeah, shout out to Indian. If it happens earlier, I mean, that's really what we're waiting for, right? And it all does seem to be happening on time, right? And it is really, really funny, right? Everybody was saying bear market. Right now, not that it can't be the bear market. Again, if we can't break out there, right? Like, let's not forget the weekly bear div, the sweep of the highs, all this stuff that we looked at, very similar to this top in 2021. But as I've said time and time again, I do not fall in that camp because rate cuts come in, even if we have to get a scarier dump to the downside to 97K, even 90K, they start cutting rates depending on the timing. I find it very, very, very hard to believe that if we get a dump and then they cut rates, we're not going to get a hard rally. So, if we had already gotten rate cuts in, this would make me feel much more bearish looking like 2021. There were a couple people, as price was pushing down, being like, this is the bear market. You're an idiot if you don't think so. And could they be right? Sure. But again, I'm going to stick to my guns here, right? We have the key levels of support, and we're getting the bounces. If we continue down, we still have 97K. We still have 90K, right? Like, don't forget, again, if we get the bullish news, like I said, 12 and 16-hour green dots with the lower time frame money flow looks nice. Daily green dot with the 90-minute money flow looks nice for continuation up. But if the 16 and 12-hour money flow continue to come down and we do put in a new low, POC, 97K, and below that about 90,500 to, I would say, 90K even down to the macro value area low is even in the cards, right? What we really have to do is get above this 786, 108K. Get above there, it's looking pretty nice. If we put in bearish confirmations up there, possible lower low. But we'll see how things develop. Shout out to McCallie. McCallie20. Shout out to you, bro. Says, do you think we'd get all-time high soon? I mean, it depends, right? I would say flip 786 at 108K. All-time highs become much more likely. But we have to be careful because this is also the area. It's the same exact thing as back here. If you guys have been tuning in for a while, you know. This 786 was key. If we close the weekly candle above here, very high chances of all-time highs. Did we close that weekly candle above there? Absolutely not. We got a hard rejection, right? That made it very likely to put in the high, the low, the lower high, and the lower low, meaning breaking this structure at $100,377. That's what we saw this weekend. And a lot of people will say, oh, but I thought we'd rejected the 786. Why are we pumping? That's how the market moves, right? The market moves in ebbs and flows, right? So it's the same thing, right? If we close that weekly above there, we could have looked for all-time highs, but it's the doorway, right? If we get rejected there, the lower low is likely. It's the same exact thing locally here. If we get up here, I'll come on a lower time frame, right? If we get up to that 786, definitely a possibility to see all-time highs. If we close the weekly candle above there, maybe we just yeet above it, right? But, we'll have to see how things develop over the week. But if we get up here and we get a rejection like we did back here, the lower low becomes much more likely. And that low would be here at 98.2, right? What is the actual low of this candle? 98.2, 98.182, right? So if you get the rejection there, the lower high is probable, especially if money flow is continuing out. Maybe your green dot on the daily is rolling back over, money flow is coming out. At that point, you're looking for a break of structure to the downside, just like we did here. Except instead of targeting the 100K zone, we target the 97K zone. If we flip that to support, new all-time highs to come, in my opinion. So, depending on how fast we can get up there, maybe we come up here next week. Or, tomorrow, right? And then it's like, at that point, it's like you hold above it, you could see all-time highs. But you just have to be careful because it's literally the line in the sand, right? Got really close here, but what happens? Lower low. So there you go. That's kind of what I would look for. I would say break that 786 all-time high soon would be likely. Let's see. Shout out to Hair Today Gone Tomorrow said hit that like button. Smash that like button, guys. 1,000 likes. $150 in Solana to one lucky CandleMafia member. Let's go. Would you say the alt season? Would you say the election in January was an alt season compared to last cycles? I feel like running out of retail buyers, so many people more aware compared to 2020 and 2016. Shout out to Andrew. Great question. I personally, I'll tell you how I feel about that personally. I think, was that alt season? No, that was not alt season as in like what we've seen in the past, right? So if I pull up Bitcoin dominance one more time, right? This was right here. We looked at this from a technical perspective, golden pocket retracement. That is the first area where you have an opportunity to get a rejection. We got a pretty significant pullback. Alts rallied, right? XRP making highs. Everything kind of rallied there. This is not alt season, right? You could consider this like an alt season, right? I don't think this is not what you need for the alt season. When you wake up and your portfolio is like 3xing every day. That is not alt season. You could consider it an alt season, right? Like Bitcoin dominance comes down. Sure, that's going to cause a little bit of a rally on the alts. But really for like real alt season, in my opinion, to come in, the biggest thing would be losing this point of control decisively and getting a dump down to the value area low. And not only that, but losing this volume profile. We need this, not this or this or this, right? We need a massive dump on Bitcoin dominance, right? So I would say that was like an alt season, right? Obviously, we saw things rally, but not to the degree of like what typical alt season that people. It's funny. It's like people are probably, if you're new to crypto this cycle, you're probably thinking like, yo, these crypto idiots are delusional. I don't know what this alt season thing they're talking about is, but it's starting to seem like it was a fever dream and has never happened before. But when you look at the dominance, it's like, we haven't seen that face melting alt season because we haven't gotten these massive drops down on Bitcoin dominance, right? And remember, I've said this all last week. A lot of people think the cycle is over. I think a lot of people also think that this cycle has just begun. I'm not in that camp either, right? Although I don't think the bear market is here, I do not think this bull market has been cooking, right? We have been in a Bitcoin bull run for quite some time. And a lot of people just remember, alt season typically comes in at the end of the cycle. It's kind of like that last hurrah. So it's kind of right on time, right? Unless this is the high and we come down into a massive 4-year cycle bear market and there's no alt season's canceled this cycle. Is that possible? Yes, but I just think if they cut rates, it's unlikely that we won't see another true alt season. So it's kind of right on time, right? If we start cutting rates soon, right, we could eventually see that alt season come in, right? It would be, again, I always say, if we push up into 120, 137, 140, 150K, that's where people think the bull run has just started. The bull run has not just started. Right, we pull up the cycle chart here. Pull it up on the weekly, right? Like this bull run has not just started, right? We took a look at this last week. Halving happens. First top in 2021 came 336 days after the halving. All-time high came in 546 days after the halving. 2017, 525 days after the halving. We are currently at 427 days after the halving. So bring that out to a September rate cut. Now you're in that 500-ish day zone to put in the all-time high. Now this is not something I would trade based off of or anything like that, but when you just compare it historically, this cycle is not just getting started. We're almost enough days after the halving to see the all-time high happen. If we get those rate cuts, it would just be like the most eerie timing ever to see that all-time high come in around that 500-day period. It's just what I'm looking at, right? Does it guarantee that all season's coming and we're definitely going to put a new all-time high? Not necessarily. But it did. That timing is crazy, right? You can't argue that is not like the most uncanny timing ever. Bitcoin makes an all-time high. Is the cycle just starting? No. We're probably getting near where the all-time high comes in. Alts pump, and then you get the bear market to come in. Will this bear market be different because of institutions? In my opinion, I think it's very likely, right? I'm not saying there's never going to be another bear market. I'm not saying that, we're not going to get a big drop. But, maybe this drop is a little bit more muted, right? Instead of 77%, maybe we get 70% or 75% or maybe even less. We'll have to identify that on the way down. But over time, the asset will eventually evolve, right? It'll mature over time, becoming less and less volatile. This is one of the healthiest bull runs, in my opinion. Right? The fact that we've gotten these big pullbacks, it makes the cycle a little bit harder for new people because it's like, oh my God, we finally made a new all-time high. Let me get in. And then they get slept on, right? Or stomped on, right? Stepped on. And then they all get scared. They might leave. And then, oh my God, we're making new all-time highs. Let me get in. Stepped on. This is why this cycle has been hard for newcomers. But in my opinion, this is like one of the healthier bull runs because we're having a nice rise up, little cool off, rise up, healthy pullback, rather than just like a parabolic move to the upside. So this could also bring us a little bit later into the top to come in a little bit later in the cycle as well, right? It's just speculation, right? But, in hindsight, we're probably going to look back and be like, see? Right? It's always speculation. It's always never 100% probability. But even with the low coming in over the weekend, guys, it's like, as I always say, like, is it guaranteed that we put that lower low in? No. But does it make sense based off your Fibonacci retracements to put that lower low in and money flow as well? Yes. What happens? More often than not, you will look back and see the TA play out. So, again, I'm not saying here that you're an idiot if you think the bear market is in or the bear market's not here. Sure, we could have topped out at 112K, maybe. But again, those rate cuts come in. That's really what we need to look for. Shout out to CK said, sorry for my lack of understanding. I'm a new day trader and still learning. How do you get or find the golden pocket areas? Shout out to CK. Check out the beginner series if you're new here. If you want to learn how to make money trading Bitcoin, whether price goes up or down, not just on the pumps, but also on the dumps. If you want to learn how to do that, check out the beginner series. I take you from knowing nothing about the charts to a good understanding of what we look for here on the live streams, or just how I look at the charts in general to find the key areas to look for longs and shorts, etc. Check out the beginner series. It's all free. Watch those tutorials. And I'm going to be clear. You can't just watch a couple tutorials and then make a bunch of money trading, right? It takes time to learn this skill, but that's a great place to start, right? To get a full understanding of where we look for this stuff. This whole channel is basically a free trading course, so definitely check it out. Big pump in late July, dump in August, second rate cut comes in September for a second wave, cool off October, then final end of the year rally. Market now. I have predicted the future. If it happens, I'll buy Frankie some Taco Bell. Shout out to Indian. Let's go, baby. Let's go. I'm writing it down. Crunchwrap Supreme, substitute beef for potatoes, steak quesarito, 4 cheese roll-ups, and cinnamon poppers. Those things that they make at Taco Bell. Those are fire. So I'll write down your predictions. You write down my Taco Bell order, and let's make it happen. All right, let's see. I think we revisit the mid-90s before we come up. Shout out to Brillo. That would be the bearish case, right? Reject that 786 that we talked about. Come back down to the mid-90s, maybe even 90K before coming up. Obviously still in the cards, right? So there you go. There always is going to be a bullish case and a bearish case, right? Just like here. Was there a chance we could have launched off this POC into new all-time high? Sure, right? There's always an opportunity to bounce randomly, right? But the higher probability called for a take of the low. We got it. So same thing there, right? It's like, well, hey, could you get all-time highs? Yes, but if you get the rejection there, the bearish case would be to break the low into 97K. Definitely still in the card. Both of those are in the cards, right? Anyone who tells you that it is just guaranteed going to go up, they're lying to you, right? They don't know guaranteed. Nobody knows guaranteed. Even the best trader in the world, I would argue the best trader in the world would be even more aggressive saying that, right? Any real trader knows that there is no 100% call on trading. So be very careful when people are super, super decisive. Will those people be right eventually, right? Like every single bounce that we get, everyone's like, oh my God, banana zone. Oh my God, banana zone, right? And then like typically that's where we're looking for lower highs and lower lows. And it's like banana zone. And it's like, they only come in when it's pumping, right? And eventually they're going to say banana zone and it's eventually going to take off, right? But a broken clock is right twice a day. That's not really how trading works. So yeah, hopefully this time they're right. Hopefully we just go banana zone. I would love that. Shout out to Drummer, said, Frankie, you're a vegetarian. No, shout out to Drummer. I'm probably the opposite of a vegetarian. I don't think I could live if I was a vegetarian. I just, for Crunchwrap Supremes, subbing the beef for potatoes, try a Crunchwrap Supreme with potatoes. I usually do that, and then I get a steak quesarito. I'm fasting today. Please stop talking about Crunchwraps. Yo, shout out to Doc. Let's go, baby. Fasting, intermittent fasting's fire. I don't know if you're like on a 24-hour, 48-hour fast, but I used to intermittent fast every single day, and now I just kind of do it naturally. I usually don't eat until dinner time, and then I eat once, and I go to bed. Let's see. Shout out to Jesse. He says, and Frankie Candles is telling the truth, and the only reason that we're able to tell the truth so much, guys, is because the charts are the truth, and that's what I make all my calls based off of. Let's see. Bada boom. Yo, shout out to Pose. It says, Frankie, I'm so ashamed to say this, but I fell asleep at the last 5 minutes. Sorry, bro. It's really late. I'm going to watch the rest. in the morning. Good night, Mafia family. Shout out to Post. Go get some rest, bro. And respect to you for being up here, trying to stay up and get some of the sauce. Let's see. Eat one meal a day. Eat one meal a day, 24/7 ketosis. Shout out to Steve Livingston. Let's get it, baby. 2-day fast. Shout out to Doc. I've never done it. I don't think I've ever done a 2-day fast. I usually just do like the traditional intermittent. It's like, what is it? 8 hour, 14 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, whatever that is. That's usually the split that I did. I've been on an intermittent fasting routine for 2 weeks now. Makes you invincible. Shout out to Darren Does Things. Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. I did it for like 3 years straight. Now I just feel like I've just like gravitated to just do it naturally. What do I think of Render? Shout out to Elixir. Let's take a look into the crystal ball on Render. Here we go. Actually, wrong template. Render. Here we go. Okay, so Render, looking for a potential reclaim of these key levels. Weekly MPOC. 786 Fibonacci retracement. This is the full retracement from the low to the high. If you don't get the bounce off the golden pocket, we didn't, but if you don't get that, you look down towards the 786. When nukes below the 786, and crazy enough, guys, you did not take the low here, which you would think if Bitcoin's taking the low, right, like all coins are probably going to take the low too. Render didn't get it. A lot of the other ones did take their local low, but Render did not. I would say this is very clear. If you could reclaim the 786, you don't have the weekly bull div, which would have been really nice. You don't even have a real key level down here to put the weekly bull div in at, unless you put it in at the previous value area high at $2.24. Then you would have like a nice weekly bull div, but you just don't have that, so there's really no sense in talking about it. Taking a look at the daily. You do technically have a daily bull div printing. It's not like the strongest angle. And it is a little bit hard because you did lose the key zone of support. So I would say your biggest level to reclaim right now, and you can see here, right, like anchored VWAP, like that's the level to stay above. We actually looked at this. I don't know if it was Render. A lot of other altcoins looked exactly the same. The anchored VWAP from the low. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the anchored VWAP, shout out to Tony D. If you could throw the link to the anchored VWAP tutorial or any of the mods, if you guys could drop that in there for people who don't know, or just pin it to the top of the chat maybe. Go watch that video, right? Like, if you want to hold the aggressive uptrend here, this anchored VWAP was the level to hold. Once you break down below the value area low anchored VWAP, it's like, well, hey, now this uptrend may start to turn into a downtrend, right? And what happens? You break below the anchored VWAP, bearish retest, and you come down, right? So I would say right now, the key level to hold on top of is going to be this entire zone, sitting between 314 and 296. If you could reclaim this, you have the daily, you have the daily bullish divergence, which again, not the strongest angle on that, at least on the momentum wave. Actually, no daily bull div. What was I looking at before? It was the 16-hour I was looking at before. So you have the 16-hour bull div, green dot. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like a bounce medium term would be likely. Green dot on the 16-hour. 1 hour money flow crossing into the green potentially. Yeah, 1 hour. I would look for a continuation up here. Overall, you want to hold this zone between the weekly naked and the 786. And with the 16-hour green dot printing, which has about 36 minutes left to confirm, money flow is technically coming out. But if you can confirm that green dot with a 1 hour money flow crossover into the green, that could give you the slight continuation of that uptrend. Overall, that's what you want to hold. No daily bull div. I said daily bull div before, but I was accidentally looking at the 16-hour. So no daily bull div, but you do have the daily green dot, which makes me go down to the 90-minute. If that daily green dot prints with the 90-minute money flow crossover, guys, this is the signal to look for. 90-minute money flow crosses over into the green, higher lows and higher highs would be anticipated. You have your anchored VWAP still sitting here at about $4.06. And if I were to pull some local Fibonacci retracements here from the high, from the high to the low. So yeah, these are some, I'll give you some local levels to look at on the way up that might give you some turbulence. First level here would be the golden pocket 786, sitting between 357 and 385. Flip that 786. You have the anchor. I mean, this anchored VWAP, if you come up, will probably be confluent with this zone. So this would be the biggest level to look at. Once you flip above that 786 anchored VWAP, value area low is more likely, in my opinion, at about 426. So those are the local levels I would look at on the way up. For the move to continue to the upside, I would be looking at the 1 hour and 90-minute money flow crossover with the 16-hour green dot and the daily green dot. Have to reclaim this zone of support. If you cannot reclaim that 786, more likely to take the low here into the value area high at 224. That's what I'd be looking at on render. Let's check the monthly. Yeah, VWAP still chilling below the 0 line. Oh, hold up. Shout out to Golden. Unbelievable, this man. Unbelievable. Let's go. Shout out to Golden, baby. Let's get it. Another fit. Yo, Golden, is this a record, bro? Hang on a second. Shout out to Golden. Drop those golden emojis in the chat if you just got a membership. Oh, it doesn't. I have 1, 2, 3. Oh, my God. 200 memberships, unless there's an extra one. It's either 200 or 250 memberships gifted by Golden since the beginning of the stream. 100 of them, maybe 150 of them gifted before the live stream even started. Shout out to Golden. And he dropped a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Says, Bitcoin, baby, LFG. Woohoo! Shout out to Golden. Let's get it, baby. Golden, are you in a long? It sounds like you're in a long, bro. Let's get it. Shout out to Golden, man. Drop that golden. Start that golden shower, baby. Or golden waterfall. Good Lord. Why does that always come to mind? I need a brain cleanse, guys. I need a try to keep it friendly here. Golden waterfall. Start dropping them in the chat right now. Shout out to CG Beats flexing that check mark. What's going on, brother? Golden said not yet, but Bitcoin's pumping, and pretty sure Golden has I don't know, maybe a little bit of Bitcoin. I think he told me he holds like I think it's like 0.02 Bitcoin. So shout out to Golden. Shout out to Golden, man. Unbelievable. The most giving person ever. Oh, unbelievable. Insane. Shout out to Crypto Gardenist. Let's get it. Shout out to One Hype Soul. That slip. It was a slip of the tongue, guys. Golden waterfall. No showers. No baths either. Golden waterfalls, guys. Let's go. Shout out to Wybird. Welcome to the Mafia, bro. Welcome to the Mafia. Golden's got to be printing. Good Lord. Yeah. Yo, shout out. Golden is one of the most generous people I've ever met, if not the most generous. R. Kelly party. Good Lord. Maybe we should shout out the drummer. We should pan the word R. Kelly. Anyway, hit that like button. This is gold. Shout out to Summer. Let's go. And another 50 Frankie Candles membership. Unbelievable. Shout out to Golden, baby. Unbelievable. Golden, do we have enough people in here? Hopefully. What happens if everybody has a membership? What happens to the extra memberships? Do they refund you? Do they go into like a hopper and wait for another live stream and just start gifting the first people that come in? I don't even know. I want to break this chat rate, guys. Let's bring the chat rate to like 280 and spam golden emojis as fast as you can. I'm going to turn off slow mode so we can show Golden some love here. I'm turning off slow mode. Shout out to Tony D. It's about to be chaos, bro. Slow mode is now off. Spam the golden emojis, and let's see how fast we can get this chat rate. Drop those golden emojis. If you don't have a membership, I don't know, drop a candle in the chat for Golden as well, and let's see how fast we can get this chat going. Unbelievable, Golden. Is that 300 memberships? Or it's either 250 or 300. Golden, you're the absolute GOAT, bro. I don't know what to say. Golden has taken over the Mafia. Shout out, he's trying to buy us. Yo, he's like he's investing in the Mafia. But if he buys enough shares, it's like a 51% attack on the Mafia. Yo, there's the chat, baby. Let's go. Somebody get Mrs. Candles. I need to sniff a hand. I'm getting a little too excited here. Let's go. Membership's still coming in. Unbelievable. Golden, man. Who are you, Golden? Who are you? Shout out to Golden. Let's go. Unbelievable. Yo, chat going nuts. Yo, no slow mode is absolutely insane. No slow mode is like diabolical. What about Golden Forex? Shout out to, I think I said Kevin. Asked if I trade only Bitcoin or crypto. What about Golden Forex? I don't really trade Forex or gold. I've messed around with Forex before, but for the most part, crypto is I would like almost 100% crypto. What a guy. Shout out to Wybird. Golden. Yo, let's go. Chat is exploding. Golden and Mrs. Candle's hands in the chat. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and cool it off here. We'll just give it a nice little 5-second slow mode here. So there we go. All right. Unbelievable. Shout out to Rob Dirt. Welcome to the muscle, bro. He got his own membership. Let's get it. Let's see. But I will say this, shout out to Kevy, the analysis is always going to be applicable to anything, right? Any analysis that I do here is going to be applicable to any other chart that you could find, right? It's going to be applicable to gold. Like if we take a look at gold, we do take a look at gold like once in a while. So we just take a look at gold, right? I'm going to be able to tell by the timing here. Yeah, so yeah, all the analysis is exactly the same, right? So like I use the same techniques. Market Cipher B is very similar, right? You look at weekly money flow crossovers into the green for massive moves up. Weekly money flow crosses up, massive trend to the upside. Fibonacci targets hit perfectly. We break above this level and get another shot to the upside on gold. 42.10 would be the next target there. But yeah, all the analysis is exactly the same. I don't actively trade gold though. But we still do analysis on stocks once in a while. Mostly crypto, though. I will have to be honest there. Let's see. Shout out to Mick Callie 20. Make sure your gifted membership setting is set on YouTube. I think it's default turned off. 108K, here we come. All right. So, yeah, guys, before we hop out of here, let me just do a quick check-in on Bitcoin. So I leave you guys with this. Are we 100% out of the woods here for a lower low to come? Not necessarily. Does it look pretty good? I would say other than the 16 and 12-hour money flow being in the red, this makes you anticipate potential continuation of the downtrend, right? Which could bring you up to 108K. That is the line in the sand. If you get the rejection, if we're looking for a lower high and a lower low into 97K, this would be the area to look for it at. Between where we just tapped, between 105, 106K, all the way up to 108K. Value area high 786. That's the place to look for the lower high. If we get above that level, it could be the doorway that we need to break in order to push into new all-time highs. So, and just remember last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago, when we were playing with that very similar line in the sand, right? Anytime we approach these levels, it is going to be the line in the sand, right? Hopefully, if you want a higher probability of higher highs to come, then as you approach the 786, you're looking for that money flow in the 16-hour, the money flow in the 12-hour to cross back over into the green. That would likely be front ran by the 8-hour crossing into the green and the 10-hour crossing into the green. That's how money flow works, right? Or anything works on time frames, right? It's going to happen on a lower time frame and then leak into the higher time frames. The signals will happen sooner on the lower time frames and then push into the higher time frames. So next targets, if we continue up, biggest target above, again, just based off the volume profile, break above the value area low, into the POC, flip the POC, look to go to the high. The lower high is likely to come in between the golden pocket 786. If that happens, lower low into 97K is likely. Is it possible that the low is in? I think there is a possibility. This is not me calling the bottom. This is not me saying there's a guarantee of this being the bottom. But again, massive, massive level. We talked about this for weeks. The anchored VWAP from the low is the biggest level as far as this zone. Golden pocket, sure. 100K, sure. Right? It's 100K psychological, daily MPOC, but that anchored VWAP from the low is critical to bounce off of. And if that is where we put the low in, that's a nice place to do it, right? So that's what I'm looking for on the move up. Even locally, the green dot is now printing. 90-minute money flow, looking to cross over into the green. 80 minutes already getting the crossover. 90-minute is already crossed over. Again, turbulence could be likely, but that would make me anticipate medium-term continuation to the upside through the profile. Once we get up here, can you deviate above the 786 slightly? Yes. But if we can hold support up here and start closing multiple daily candles above that level, it does open up the door to new all-time highs. Now, not necessarily instant, right? There is going to be some other levels that we have to look at, and I'll take a look at them tomorrow with you guys if we get up there. But overall, we looked for the downtrend to continue. We got it. At this point, it's the same thing as it was up here. You could come up and play with this level a little bit. Once you come back down, you might be able to put that lower high in. But if we could hold it as support, again, depending on how soon we get up there, if it's kind of like last week where we kind of just bing bong around, right? Like we spent a good amount of time above that 786. Let me actually pull this again, right? So that was pulled from the all-time high to the current low here, right? So we kind of played with it for a while, right? We came up to it on, you can't make it up, right? We came up to it on Monday, right? And then you're back below it, back above it, back below it, back above it. But that weekly candle closed below. That was what made us look for the lower low being very likely. That's how we made that call. It's not magic. I know I don't have a crystal ball that anybody knows about, but that's how we make those calls. I teach it here for free every single weekday, right? But you can play around above there a little bit, right, before finally getting the rejection. So it could be very similar on our next key level, right? Maybe you get above there, right? You could play around up here, get back down, back above, back down. But, at the end of the day, if we don't just, get above here and shoot up, if we start playing around with it up here and we can start getting bearish signals, you could get above it a little bit. And then if that weekly candle closes down below, it could be the lower high. This entire zone to put the lower high in is between this golden pocket and 786. I think there's a high probability of coming up to the value area high, and then we'll reassess the situation as it develops. So there you go, Mafia. That's what we're looking at. Pray that the bottom is in. Hopefully, we can get that money flow to turn around. But with all that being said, guys, that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. We are just about at the end here. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Shout out to Golden for gifting, 500 memberships. Shout out to Golden. You're the absolute GOAT. Shout out to James. Shout out to Black Haze. Said, you do have a crystal ball, Frankie. We know you do. Shout out to Black Haze. I swear I don't. I almost... never mind. But shout out to Black Haze. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob, K Diggity, Based Bailey, Megan in the chat. Shout out to not Megan, but Mega Fortnite Pyres. Shout out to Mega. Shout out to Mr. Cali 20. Shout out to Iker, Eugene, Golden, Dremmer, David, C7, Indian. I'm holding you up on that Taco Bell. Andrew, and last but not least, shout out to B Team Crypto. But with all that being said, guys, I will tune in tomorrow. We'll be live at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would imagine if we get a big move, we might get a big move tonight or going in tomorrow. So I will drop market updates if the price action calls for it. But until tomorrow, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Smash that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. You appreciate this free content. Hit the like button. Turn on notifications. All the good stuff, guys. We're here every weekday. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Forgot to tell you guys. I went to the zoo this weekend, and I did, I'm not going to, this isn't typically when you go to the, why you go to the zoo, but they did have some goats, and I was playing with the goats, guys. Maybe my reconnection and grounding with the goats, as you guys know, one of the most powerful, bullish things that you can do for Bitcoin is do some goat grounding. I took my shoes off. I took my shirt off. They maybe put it back on. But I took my shoes off. I went into the goat pen. I was petting the goats. And maybe that'll give us the fuel to break off, at least into the 786. Shout out to the goats out there. And I'll leave you guys with a fresh cut Frankie here. Bada boom. There we go. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for being here. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If
If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll.